I've just never had anyone ask how I sneeze and seem eager about it.
Like little Cindy Lou Who's going on my little mucus particles.
With their antennas and the Christmas ornament.
Welcome to emergency session of
Moral Tea.
Yes. Well, anyways, I do want to. Reason I felt you plagued me.
You plagued me.
But after we did the disappointment bit that we did, it felt like it was really wrapped up in a nice, neat bow.
Yeah.
And it also felt like it only focused on work issues. And since we did that, which was a couple of weeks ago, I realized what a denier I am to my own soul. I have walked around with this nagging feeling, and I realized I'm really disappointed about a lot of things. And you had asked me that question. You had said after we did it, she goes, Anna Grace says, maybe we should, we really didn't talk about, private.
It was kind of ambiguous.
Personal disappointments. And I went, we'll just put that in the box or something like that. And because I was feeling all super jive that I was an overcomer. And then I realized what a loser I am because I've been carrying the, no, I'm not. But I've been carrying these disappointments around. And it hit just the next day. I was, because the question kept waking me up. Like it woke me up, like, we didn't talk about, really deep things. And I'm going, oh my goodness, I've been hiding this, hiding these things that are really worrisome to me. And so I thought perhaps we could talk about the whole hiding bit that goes on, the posing bit that we don't even know.
Expose it to light.
Yes.
There's so much freedom in that, though.
I know, but I realized I really need to talk to someone.
Ooh, so what do you want to get off your chest? What has been on your mind?
I want to say I am disappointed. My brother-in-law has fought violently, I won't say that, valiantly, cancer. And he went through that first round. And then they had X amount of months. And it changes you because you live, after you have it, you live for the test, you live for all these other things. And it's always whatever the next scan. Let's see what the next scan says. So, but I finally said to my sister one day during this, I said, Robin, now you have this tough job, even though I don't know what they're going through. I just said, you just have this tough job. Now that you're over that and he is clear, is now you have to decide how you're going to live, because to live is Christ, right? So they had some enjoyable times and all that. And then she just felt this edge about her. And then 10 months later, the cancer resurfaced, and it came back with a vengeance. It didn't go up any other ladder. It just went stage 4. And this is the new stuff. And then we're going to do it this time. This is going to end. There's all these fears that we're living with. And there's great disappointment because, you think after doing what he did, and he took a very, very difficult chemo. And a lot of people don't survive it. And he has just a massive amount of, things that were affected. But he got through it and he had a clear scan and everybody was like, woo, about Christmas. And then now they're back in it. And I'm so deeply, it's so good. My sister's talking, but it's just broken. It just breaks me to know that she's going through this. And I don't know how, there are no words, all I could do was be there for her. And so I'm disappointed about that.
Want to be in the clear for a while and have such high hope that, okay,
Yeah.
there's healing. And
Well, you think, okay, at least, okay, that should count for at least 3 years,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Or something, in your head, you're thinking, not 10 months.
Mm-hmm.
And so now, we're living with this next chemo, and I'm like, part of me is like, okay, what's the payoff here? So, I mean, that's scary, disappointing fear. But then I realized, even in our talk of being, trying to understand being single and how to be a whole single person, this is the tax time of year. And so there's papers that have to be done, and there's work that has to be done. Of course, for some reason, thank you, Tinkerbell, for snoring. But there's tags that have to be renewed, and this that has to be done, and that has to be done. And it's spring, and there's planning, and all these decisions that have to be made. And I realized, not. I think maybe I'm a little disappointed being single.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow. Do you feel, okay, I'm curious. Do
Yeah.
you feel like when one really life altering disappointment happens, such as even the return of cancer and navigating that, do you feel like that puts you in a headspace where you think of these other things as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it just opened up a door.
Spill the tea.
And not only that, I mean, I saw my sister, they've always been a team in their marriage and working together. And, not that it's been perfect, but, they've been together. And so, but I see what, how much she hurts for him and, is in all this. And I realize, I'm on my own during all this. I'm doing life. It's up to me. And sometimes, where he handled a bunch of stuff. But it's just, I just realized it just really gets old having everything up to you.
Yeah.
And the decision-making process. And it is way different than which restaurant do you want to go to. And neither of you can decide. And I realized I was disappointed at that. And I'm really disappointed by the things in the world that are going on. And it's frightening and it's scary. And I just want to say, God, we just need a time out, please, because it's been that way for so many years. So I feel maybe in a sense of, I don't know, I don't think I'm in crisis mode, but I think, us as a nation, we might be like, what's next? What's next? Because everything was freakish. There was like even the freakish, I think we talked about the freakish tornadoes out in the Midwest that, wiped out 10 million acres of crops. And that happened I think in 2022. And then you see everything that's going on. And so part of me just realized I don't know, Anna Gray. Does any resonate with how you feel?
100%, like the weight of the world on your shoulders. I'm curious though, what would you say sparks the disappointment? What reminds you of it? Do you think it's having so many burdens on you? Because I see how much you do, both working and write. I mean, writing is also your work now, but, and then the commuting and the ballroom dancing and the everything and the cooking and the, so much of everything. Does the signs just hit you out of nowhere, or do you?
I don't think I allow myself, and this is where I think this is where the poser came in, where I realize I'm so used to doing things. It's just get up, get up, get up. And there's this low grade disappointment running through me, / anxiety or whatever, just always currently running through me that I've just adjusted to. And I remind me at the end of all this, after we talk this through, like what jarred you out of this? And I will tell you, because I'm still in it, but these words I keep turning to. So it's just this kind of low grade, not, and it goes back to the part where we were talking about overbooking and rest. So I think it's like all our podcasts mixed up in one, and it's come out.
Yeah, it's vomiting out right here, but word vomit is our palate.
And so I think it's just all caught up to me. I mean, you heard my voice get all kind of tight here.
Yeah.
Not that I want to cry, but
it's okay.
And it's not necessarily anger. I don't know what it is. Yeah.
What do you think brought on the disappointment of singleness? Is it seeing other people? Is it just feeling the weight of things?
I think it's feeling the weight of things.
I'd
And
like
not
to
having a
talk about
partner,
that.
not having a partner, not having a best friend, not having somebody there to at least acknowledge the fact that, wow, I don't have to take the phone out with me every time I go out in the field, because in case I drop in the field, somebody's got to find me, but someone, because no one will be looking for me. Or, you know what I mean? It's just not having somebody to walk through and be able to say, I forgot to turn this into the taxes, or whatever. I think that's it. It's just not having someone to lean on.
Yes.
It's leaning.
No.
I know we're leaning on the Lord. I know that.
No,
but there's like not having that physical person to lean on. Just simply say, this has been a tough day.
Yes. Well, and I think it's interesting you say that, because I quite literally was just having a conversation with someone else who, she's a single woman. She's has 3 kids and is navigating life on her own as well. And I told her, I said, it's interesting because I'm also very much single. I have been closed to business for a bit now, but I only have me to take care of, and I feel that weight all the time. But I can't imagine having kids, having multiple things that you have to do, having kids, and somehow, getting dinner on the table every night, having more than just yourself to keep up with. Because I only have myself to keep up with, in my 2 small businesses. I'm like, I get stressed just by my own little bubble. But
yeah, your bubble is big.
We were talking though, and she was sharing with me that she's had to learn how to do a man's work. Whereas, and I think I should rephrase that to say women weren't created to carry that type of burden.
Everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
I mean, she was talking about how to learn how to fix a roof, do all the things that a companion, aka husband, should be
or could help
doing.
Them. Yeah, you could do together. Yeah,
and I think women often feel like they're having to carry everything on their back, and they weren't made to carry that much. And I don't know, do you think ever seeing other people, does it ever spark, I don't want to say envy, but maybe a longing?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, where you think, oh my gosh, that would be such relief. Not for someone. How I put it, and again, I feel almost irrational saying this because it's literally just me I'm taking care of. I'm just like a free-spirited
no, you're not.
26-year-old. But how I put it to my friend when she was sharing some of the same things, and like her heart is very much in the same place that yours is it's not that so much we want someone who can carry us, but just to help lift all the weight that we're carrying. Because we've learned enough how to carry ourselves. Our legs are strong enough.
We are very strong.
to climb the mountains.
To
have it
walk
lifted
with us.
Yes. Yes.
And I was talking to our mutual friend, Shonda. And when I had a little, this little thing that happened, and little health thing. But I immediately texted. I text 2 of my kids who are older, and then Shonda and your mom, and because, we later talked about that, and she goes, "That was interesting that you did that," or she goes, "I'm glad you did that." I said, "Well, I did that for more. You don't understand. I don't do that to, have your pity or your worry. I definitely want your prayers." I said, "I do that to mark that this is happening in my life because somebody else may not need to know.
Right, right.
You know, because it's just me. And Shonda was sharing that idea that she now got this other woman who felt the same way, who had younger kids and all that. Because you're on your own and you need to let people, you want people to know what's going on in your life, because we don't have that spouse to say, oh, wow, this is happening, you know, or they wake you up in the middle of the night. Oh, wow, this is happening.
Yes, yes.
You know, and so that was part of, I think, a lot of it. Maybe that was part of it. I don't know. I think I'm still trying to unwrap it. So what I thought was in a nice, neat bow is really unraveling.
I think that's so freeing, though.
It is.
I mean, it's like also very vulnerable. It makes you feel like naked, at least
yes,
me. But
it does. And, you know, I don't know. So tell me about you.
It's so interesting you say this, because even just, I could sense something like in your spirit that was off, not in a bad way, but just there's something heavy weighing on you. Like your eyes just looked a little sad today. And it's not insulting, but I think a lot of the time we stuff things down too and don't realize these disappointments or things we're thinking of, and they can come out in other ways. Like when Lily and I were just talking about crying in the kitchen, making our tea. I mean, I was joking at first saying the shower is a great place to cry. It's important to cry. And we're having this kind of humorous conversation. But on a serious note, I'm like, you know, it is important though, because if we're so good at stuffing things down. And I think especially like when you have what feels like the weight of the world on your shoulders, you're used to putting on this full suit of armor to go out every single day, be 100% on, and tackle everything, you know? And I think, at least for myself, in different kind of circumstance, I was sharing with someone recently too, I almost feel like I've calloused my heart towards being tender towards others, like receiving help or asking for it. Because I think when you've done so much on your own time, or when someone who is once important in your life did not show up for you, like, I'm speaking from like personal experience, not necessarily, I'm not telling your story.
No,
but maybe I am. It's mutual. But I think that does something to a woman's heart. I've been thinking about, you know, it's been a heavy week for me too, in a different kind of way. No, this is oddly freeing to talk about. And it's so interesting you said that, because I wasn't expecting you to say I'm disappointed in singleness, you know, because I've had recently just what's felt like salt in a wound, or you have hopes placed in love or somebody or a circumstance, and when it all falls apart, it almost put me in this headspace of reminiscing of all the other times that the pattern has been repeated, and almost feeling a sense of abandonment.
Yes, most definitely.
Yeah.
Say that word again.
See, now I'm like, where are my fig leaves?
Abandonment.
Oh, I think these things can be weird to talk about too, because at least for myself, I do feel like I don't want to come across as pathetic or needy, because I've been in that, like in relationships where I was pathetic and needy, and I hated who I was, and I also felt kind of crushed by people's heel as a result of that. And I'm not saying that with some victim mentality of, oh, I've just, you know, everything wrong that's been done to me. But I think there are certain experiences that are scarring, or certain situations, especially I think where you as a woman need someone to fight for you and you're fighting for yourself. And I think that's my long way of saying, I think the cry of a woman is for someone to fight for them, and the disappointment even in doing life solo, even if it's as an independent woman. You know, I think there is a longing in women for not security as in just someone as a crutch, but there is a really, and I'm speaking for myself personally, there is a security in, I think, someone who is a trusting man, someone who has your back.
A helpmeet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's, for me at least, even seeing other people thriving and so happy, sometimes I'll think, oh, like I'm happy for them.
Yeah.
While also it's this inward, I don't want to say resentment because it's not that, but maybe
I think the
I
longing
feel
was a good
longing,
word.
bluesy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where you think, what would that be like?
What would that be like?
You know, or the times where you get so close or you think one
Mm.
thing is unfolding and then, oh, there's actually somebody else. It's not you. You're,
Well,
you
but
know,
I think
friend zoned.
I think where we are
Uh.
at with all this, too, is I realized there's a real undercurrent of fear that accompanies disappointment in all things.
Ooh.
And that would include the nice, neat bow of work or, you know, all the things I've felt in the last couple of weeks. There's this fear that it's going to be repeated. It's not going to go away.
Yeah. Yes.
It's always going to be like this.
Almost like a formula for life.
It is a
Because
formula.
X, Y, and Z
Yeah.
happen. It's going to.
I mean, and we know. I mean,
recur.
we have good. I mean, the neat thing about Christianity, what drew me to it, was one is like we have understanding of why there's, you know, evil in the world and pain and suffering. That doesn't make it easier, but it just is, you know, as a result of our sin. But you know, this fear thing is okay. I have this deep longing, but it's not overtaking me. It's not overshadowing my relationships or my friendships. It's not stopping me from doing life. It's not stopping me from laughing, you know, or you know, doing delightful things. But there's this fear that is almost generated in that pattern you get, like, you know, I've already done this. This didn't work.
As in what? Are you speaking relationally?
I'm speaking relationally now.
Yeah.
But it's also, it could also,
yeah.
you know, it also fits that formula that what's going on with my brother-in-law.
Absolutely.
Is like, okay, this first time didn't last. So what about the second time? You know, and I think that could be a lot of things that we're thinking about, but definitely in relationships as well. I mean, almost to the point where hope in that arena is squashed.
Yeah, no, I feel that.
Like smashed.
Yes, no, that has,
like Bigfoot, bam.
In the last 2.5-ish weeks of my life, that has literally been like actually bigger hopes and completely squandered and shattered to where I'm like, okay, I will just go ahead and pick up my gravestone to die single someday. It's fine because I don't sit around and long for, you know, a knight in shining armor to come rescue me on a white stallion from all my aches and pains.
I do.
You do? I don't, because it makes me feel weak and needy.
Oh, no.
But I also realize I callous my heart.
I want my own horse. Yeah.
Well,
my own sword.
Yeah. But
if you want him, come claim him.
If you want him, Arlen.
Yes.
Man, and like making a river light turn into a
really,
tsunami like she does. This is pretty.
I didn't mean to interrupt.
I was about to say a colorful word, but I will. Dylan, can you make beep sound? Just kidding.
You get the moral tea in your mouth.
Yeah, that would be me half the time. Yeah. But I don't know. I think it's not, for me personally, it's never been the greatest desire of my heart. But I think after experiencing relationships, even though they weren't what I expected them to be, and obviously they have been put to death, not to sound too depressing, but I mean, you know, leave the roadkill on the road. But it does make you wonder, okay, what is this like? Or when you have these hopes. And I think when you are, or for me at least, when there's somebody who, at least at one point in time, you felt secure with, you could be honest with, who knew your deepest fears, your deepest aches and pains, joys, you know, stupid quirks and things. And you think, man, what would it be like to grow old with you? And even like every time I shoot a wedding, I think, dang,
that must be hard for you. I mean,
well, it doesn't depress me as much anymore. It makes me, I'm happy for the people. I go back and forth because sometimes I think, gosh, life is so much more peaceful like this.
Yes.
But when you feel the weight of the world on your shoulders,
That's the
It's
problem. It's like, because we can do what we want.
yeah.
I mean, get up and go and do, or, whatever.
Yeah, without having to not report back to
Report,
someone.
or just simply say, but then at the same time, we're
Yeah.
missing, we are ping pong.
Yeah.
So I don't
I
know speak to that. I mean, how now shall we live? Because it's not
Francis
changing.
Schaefer.
Yes, I know. It's not changing anytime soon.
Well, so you
Yeah.
think it's also easy to create a formula and brace yourself and cast your heart where people are pushed away, where there could be an open door. Ooh.
Okay. That is really good. Except for, like, it's not happening. I
I
mean,
mean, I think it has to be active.
you're young, but it's not happening here.
I mean, even
Like,
when
all
you're
the guys I meet
26.
are younger, way younger than I am, and I'm like, okay, no, thank you very much.
But in the love life
Yeah.
department, even if I'm 26, I have, in what I wrote in a blog post last year, where I was just like, I titled it Behind Her Young Skin, I was in this really hard place last
I
year
remember
in the
that.
midst of a bunch of things at once and thinking, no one understands me. They look at me, they think I'm young, I've got it all together.
Right.
They don't know I'm crying into 3 glasses of wine behind closed doors and
Right.
falling apart and stressed and in the midst of this horrible lawsuit and
Yeah.
things that were just completely out of my control. And I remember writing in this post, I said something in a sentence about a roster of my failed love life and the people. Because even though you can be 26, people think, oh, well, you just must have all these people. And there
Yeah.
might be a lot on the market, but it's not. It's so utterly disappointing.
Yeah.
No, like literally this week, I cried a lot yesterday over it. It was great.
Oh, wow.
Gave me a headache, but it was.
Why you didn't even tell me?
So that's my way of
Yeah.
saying, don't feel that age is the
Whoa,
only
wait. Okay,
part of
I
it.
understand that.
Ugh.
Let's go back to you crying. So you cried over your roster of lost hopes and
It was
dreams.
some situations that have occurred recently that wasn't so much the situation with men. Men. That were so heartbreaking.
Yeah.
As in, oh, this one person is just crushing me. It was more so it resurfaced absolutely everything else and reminding me how you were talking about the pattern, the formula.
Right.
For me, in the same way, where you have these hopes. And for these particular situations, truly, it looked kind of on the up and up, and very quickly was squandered and very sad. But it just reminded me of everything else and thinking, I remember I was praying, I was just like, dear God, is this what this is always going to be like? And it makes me want to recallous my heart and push people away, even good people.
Yeah.
Because the disappointment roster.
It is the disappointment.
I sound like
but
Taylor
the
Swift.
nice thing is, I didn't know she wrote that. Is that she write a song like that?
No, but I sound like Taylor Swift. But she's single, and that does give me
That
hope. Because
would
if Taylor
be-
Swift is unmarried, I'm like, okay, she's
Yeah, but
cool
she's also
human.
living. I don't know her lifestyle. I don't think she's ever alone. She's managers too. Like,
who knows?
people who tell her and
I'm just saying she's a fierce superstar, and she's
amazingly
supposedly
talented.
single.
Okay. Well, okay. Well, we'll go with that. But I don't know. I don't know what to say about that, except for we talked about hope being kind of the remedy of disappointment. So what do we do with that when we realize we really are acting quite hopeless in the sense
still
of
figuring that out,
but
kind of.
at the same time, I mean, there are days we don't think about it, and then there are
Yeah.
days we are, and it's just the tough times. It's
Yeah.
the scary times.
Yeah, like
It's the
crisis
scary-
modes. We're like,
yeah.
oh my gosh, dear God, I wish I had somebody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's, but at the same time, we do realize that you and I have enough knowledge, and I have years of experience, and you have your roster of your dating career.
My career.
Well, but I say that.
No, I feel you.
But we know that does go sideways, and I don't think yet we've either of us been in a relationship where you can actually talk something over
Yeah.
with
Breathe
somebody.
easy.
Yeah, and where you can actually be open and honest and speak things and it not go into people pouting or being, sullen or things like that.
Oh!
It's something like that. You know what I mean?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Punny. Wow. No,
Yeah.
that's something I've been thinking about too, because I've literally been in that same funk this week. Kid you not. When I told you I had a soul chat with mi madre,
Yeah.
uh,
That would be Laura.
Laura Smeet. Where are you, baby girl? No, it was totally
Like and subscribe.
like and subscribe to Moral Tea. We're done. We feel too naked now, so we're gonna go get some more clothes. I think.
So what did your mom say, and what did you say to your mom?
Well, it wasn't exactly the specific conversation. It just had to do with my not so love life and my mother giving me some very honest to goodness truths that I needed to hear that were good for me.
What were they?
Gosh, it was.
We could just phone call her.
We could just phone call.
Can we get my phone and ask her?
Are you serious?
I will.
You should. We're gonna have our first interview on Moral Tea. Hold on. Da, 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 da. We interrupt this episode with a commercial break. Today we're going to advertise Yogi Tea with the most cliche sayings ever known to mankind.
You tap danced.
I don't tap dance.
Oh. Okay. All right.
Oh, see if she answers.
Oh, will she answer?
It's like a radio show. We'll need to hold her up to a mic.
Phone home, E.T.
Yeah, just hold her up to the mic.
Okay. And are you going to ask her the questions?
Sure.
Okay. What is this on top?
Just
Oh, I
like
have spices on my phone.
Spicy. We about to get spicy with Laura. Getting spicy with Laura.
Oh, answer.
On a Friday night.
Answer.
Oh, she did!
Yeah, okay.
Welcome to Moral Tea. You are on episode some number, and we have a very important question coming from us to you. Everyone, this is Laura.
I'll hold her to the phone.
Oh, hold her to the mic.
Okay, so what is the question?
So Renee and I are recording live right now.
Oh, you're live.
Yeah,
no, we're not live.
We're actually holding you up. We're not. Okay, we're not live. We're recording, but I'm holding you up to the mic.
Okay.
Okay, what's the question?
So what advice did you give me today in my not so love life? What were the important like red flags you've seen, and what were your like honest to goodness truths to me this week?
Hold her up.
Okay. Well,
make sure. Wait. Let's make sure your sound is right.
Let's make sure.
Yeah.
Say testing, testing. Laugh. Say something. Oh, perfect.
Okay, yeah.
We're good. We're green. Go ahead.
That number one, you give your all to people, and you are very trusting. Not a naive kind of trust, but a trusting like you see the best in people, and you
that's true.
Trust them. And
I wasn't expecting this one.
A lot of times you will, you invest in these relationships, and even if there are red flags, it's not that you're being careless.
You can say careless.
Intentionally careless about it.
It's stupid.
But you see the best in them, and you try to pull out the best in people because you believe it's there. And you also have a lot of integrity, which when somebody does you wrong or you're angry at somebody, you're not going to go blabbing it to other people, and you expect the same from people. But what happens is oftentimes these people do not give you what you are expecting from them. They don't have the integrity. They do talk ugly, or they do they do you wrong, and then it hurts because you're seeing the best in them, and that's the side you're wanting to see, but that's not the side you're necessarily getting from them.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Do you think that's why I'm so disappointed? Because we're talking about disappointment specifically, and like I told Renee, we had a conversation.
I do, because I think that you hone in on that, the good that you see, and that's what you're focusing on. And like I said, it's not that you're being naive, or maybe I should say you're not intentionally being naive.
I am being naive. Yes, it's okay. We can be brutal. Be honest.
But yeah, I think that you're pulling for these people. You see the best in them. You're wanting to see them change for the better, and then they don't. They don't necessarily care, and then they don't, and then you're left disappointed.
Yeah.
And I think because you do invest a lot of yourself in your relationships too. You don't, when you get to know people, it's not just a shallow get to know them. You really get to know people. And I think that it keeps backfiring.
Goes really wrong.
And do what?
No, I agree. We're talking about disappointment, and Renee and I are talking about just our seasons of being single, independent women, but how we also wish that sometimes someone were there to help us carry the weight of the world on our shoulders. And do you think it's easy to create like a formula? Or, because you mentioned this to me before about how I almost see life in a formula and almost welcome chaos, and that's why I end up disappointed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Ouch.
Yeah.
I do.
Mama
I
Laura
see that in
speaks.
you a lot. And I mean, I'm guilty of it too, so I'm not just pointing fingers here, but
It's okay. You can.
You.
Roast me on moral tea.
Go on, Mom. Come on.
There you go. But no, I've seen this numerous times where something will be going well,
I need to hide.
but you'll, pardon my French, but like, damn it, before it where.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like literally.
No, speak it, Mama.
You'll say,
Laura?
yeah, this is going good, but I remember this is how it was with such and such, and I thought things were going well, and then this happened, so I'm waiting for this to happen, or this is
we were just talking about that patterns. Mm-hmm.
Whatever. Anyway, and I'm like, okay, but life is not a formula, and God doesn't put things in formulas. I mean, he has his patterns.
God doesn't put things in formulas. That is really good.
That is good.
One relationship, whether we're talking romantic relationship or a friendship or a work relationship, it doesn't matter. But they don't fit into formulas. Although sometimes I wonder if I'll just say we in general do kind of make things fit into formulas because we make them.
We, Anna Gray. Yeah, it's true.
You can, by your choices and things, make things fit and then go, look, see? Well, that's not necessarily how it always is, and
Right.
I think learning to accept whatever relationship you're in at the moment, again, when I say relationship, it's any kind of relationship. And not necessarily, I think it can be good to have warning signs like, okay, beware, this happened last time, so tread carefully, but it doesn't mean that because guy A, B, and C did or said this, that guy D is going to. Or friend A, B, C, that friend D is going to, or whatever.
Yeah.
So, I think I've definitely seen you try to put things like.
I feel called out, but it's good. It's true. It's
a good
100%
no.
true.
I'm calling you out because you called me.
No, I
Yes.
appreciate it. Okay, so what hope or advice, what Mother Laura wisdom would you give to people who are disappointed by things in life and who do the formula thing and who feel the weight of the world
and are fearful
on their shoulders and are fearful?
We're really fearful.
We're freaking scared.
Yeah.
Especially in crisis modes where you're like, it's not they necessarily just sit around every single day crying in a corner because you don't have a man.
Yeah.
What wisdom?
Or friends, or substitute whatever. It's not just men.
Not just men.
That was a really big giant question.
It was. I'm sorry.
Well, we could break it down.
Yeah,
but what are the suggestions you would have for the fear? Yeah, because I almost feel, Laura, that we were talking that disappointment carries a definite element, and of course, neither of us are therapists. None of us are, but carries an edge of fear in it because and it was because you're thinking it's going to be cyclical. There's the old adage, everything comes in threes. I think we talked about it in the last podcast. Yeah. So what would you give? What happens when you give up on hope? You're so disappointed you give up on hope of it changing.
It's weird. If you do that, I think the thing is, for one thing, just kind of step back and think about that logically.
Oh.
If if you just give up on it, then you're never going to have anything good. It won't happen.
Roasted.
You'll just be. So, I mean, sure, you can do away with heartache, but then you're just going to be sitting by yourself for the rest of your life with nobody.
So, in other words, what you're saying, you're pretty
Ouch.
much saying it's like the stock market. There's always risk. I mean,
There's
life
always risk. Yeah,
life is
absolutely.
always
And,
a risky thing. Yeah.
Just because, and it's easier, you know, I'm not in any kind of relational problem kind of thing right now. So it's
nice.
easy for me to say this. And I don't mean that harsh. I really don't. But I'm just saying, you know, just because you've been hurt, it doesn't mean the next person is going to hurt you. You have to, but I do think you need to be careful. You know, God has given us these what do we call it? First impressions for a reason. Like sometimes you really do get these red flags. And when you get the red flags, pay attention to them. It doesn't mean ditch that person, you know, as a friend or a boyfriend or whatever.
Not the blue flags,
but,
the
but
red
if you
flags.
have red flags, beware, like tread carefully and slowly and get to know the person slowly. And if the red flags seem to stay there and you've got issues with people, then walk away from it and you know, don't
leave the roadkill on the road
as a friend or a boyfriend or a girlfriend or whatever. But to sit there and say, you know, I've been hurt before. I'm not going to do this again. Mm-hmm. That's just you're punishing yourself. I mean, there are good relationships out there. You just have to you have to find them and you have to work on them. And it does come with risk. I mean, it does.
It does.
But I think
no money back guarantee.
Careful who you're trying to befriend. But you know, I'm guilty of it myself. I mean, just even things like this. It sounds like I'm totally changing the subject, but I mean, like with our car, when we finally got a new car back in October, I mean, a new to us car, you know, I still I get a little edgy anytime I drive just out of town. Like if I'm going to Winston or going to Greensboro or going to something by myself, because I'm like, oh gosh, something's going to happen to the tire or something's going to happen. Because the vehicle before that was constant issues and it left me stranded. I don't even know how many times, like a lot. Well, just because the one car left me stranded a lot doesn't mean the next car is. Now, is my car probably going to leave me stranded at some point? Probably so. But am I going to just not ever drive? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So basically you're saying we have to press into our fears and they'll become less scary.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And it's not, and that's easier said than done. Especially with relationships. I think it can be very scary. Very, very, very scary. But, you know, is it really worth it to avoid the fear so that you just kind of have nothing? Or, you know, push through it and you know, see what kind of good relationships you can have. You know?
Okay, well, that was excellent. I'm going to cut you off because we're going to wrap this up and keep talking. But you were awesome.
You were our first guest on Moral Tea.
Yes.
Everyone, give a round of applause.
You get a T-shirt.
You get a
T-shirt. Thank you for
that is
letting
great
me.
Wisdom.
You were our phone home. You were our phone home. So thank you. I love you. Good night.
I love you. Good night.
Ooh,
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.
Okay, so that applies.
We're punishing ourselves.
We are punishing ourselves, but I mean, but that applies to everything. Because think about it with friendships. How many of us have been let down in friendships? But then you press forward and you get to know their character, and you say, there comes this point when you know somebody, and I guess this must apply to men too. But you come to and you go, this is not their character, or this is their character. And their character always acts like this. And if it doesn't, then I can go up and talk to them. And at least that's how it works in my friendships. Mm-hmm. So why can't that work with a man? You know, I maybe it's because, you know, I think it has to do with our microwave society. Because everybody hops in bed. Doing it out of order.
Yeah.
Just really screws up the whole system. because you have to work from sex down, or or sex
Exactly.
up, whichever it is.
Yeah.
And then the chance of you becoming friends then, I guess, or who knows?
But everything starts off so romantic and
Mm.
only infatuative that it's harder to see loyalty and discern these things when you're so
Right.
jaded by.
Right. As your mother said, the red flags.
Yeah, yeah. But I think it is
Yeah.
really true that with disappointment, it is easy to see all of it as, well, this happened last time. And
Mhm.
for me, demonize people before even giving them a chance. And not just in
Right.
relationships, and
Yeah.
so many things in life. I mean, with my last half marathon I did, I almost deferred my entry and canned the whole thing the week of, because I started to get this panic. Because I'm like, well, last time I went through a breakup and I had like stomach ulcer and my training and like just all this stuff coming over me, to where in my head I'm creating this scenario and destroying almost myself in my mind before it's even happened. It's like this idea of bracing for discard,
Right.
Putting up a shield, bracing. And truthfully, a therapist once said this to me last year, and it was very true, that there is going to be pain
There
either way. And that's
is.
kind of what mom
Yeah.
said as well,
Yeah.
echoed that same thought. Because whether
There
or
are no
not
guarantees.
yeah, and even if you
Yeah.
brace, hurt is still hurt. It doesn't mean suddenly pain is eradicated just
Yeah.
because you don't,
No.
try it.
So I like this idea, because I'm reminded too. I was told this years ago when I was in my 20s, and I was talking about relationships then to a therapist, and I said something, and I said, well, but what if this happens in this? And she's like, there's no guarantees.
I think we want guarantees.
We want guarantees.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a couple things with this. Tinkerbell's really snoring.
She's totally into it.
But with these guarantees comes, and now it's my time to forget my thought.
It's okay.
But the deal is we shut the deal down, and we don't. It's not life giving, and what your mother was basically saying is we become a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Almost like emotional masochists, where I've done extensive Google research.
Is it really this thing called that?
Emotional masochism? Yes. People think of it as only a sexual kind of thing. No, emotional masochism is where you anticipate chaos and welcome pain, because it's almost like you become so accustomed to it.
You're trained to it.
And adrenaline is addictive too.
Oh, yes,
interesting
it is.
studies on it.
Now, I've always heard of people having crisis modes where like they almost have to live in crisis because yes, I think we talked about that on one podcast.
Oh man.
So I don't. The thing is, I don't like the chaos. That's why I enjoy the singleness.
Yeah,
because
peaceful little bubble.
My places have been chaos and or not even necessarily chaos, just kind of I don't want to share too much, but just not healthy relationship. And so I don't even know how to enter in. And when you say, and I know what you're talking about, like our age difference, and I see what in you, I see it's so frustrating because there's this type that tends to be attracted to you.
Yes.
We jokingly call them Chads.
The Chads.
The Chads. And they are seemingly life-giving folk, and they're not. They're just there for one reason only. Yep. And with me, everybody's married. And who's going to interrupt that?
I mean, a lot of people I find out are married or in relationships with me, but continue.
Right, okay, but to me, I love it when I don't know. Your mother did say to go slowly and to get the integrity thing and to watch and look for the red flags. I think there's the big deal about being a friend is you really get to know somebody.
Yeah. And
instead of hopping into bed with them and sealing the deal and then working backwards, which never works.
No.
Yeah.
Well, and I think with the fear I know I keep focusing on relationships, but it just stuck out to me when you said the disappointment in being single.
Yeah.
Because that's so been my heart this week. Or at least regarding just like where there were some hopes with men. And
Men.
male Homo sapien.
Men. The echo.
Could have a
The
chance.
echo. We're on the
Have like an
grand
angelic
camera.
chorus. Have a man like
Camera. The
gravitate down.
grand camera.
The grand camera.
No.
But I think it also brings up, it's interesting how we've talked about disappointment and fear, because I think the disappointment and the longing, but then even the hesitation with people can bring about fears like, well, the fear of entering into something and being abandoned again, or having your face pushed into the dirt, having crumbs sprinkled, whatever someone's last experience was. So then you create, you put your heart out on the line again, it's crushed again. And it's like you subconsciously, me, Anna Gray Smith. Hello, my name's Anna Gray Smith, and I think I might be an emotional masochist.
I don't think you are.
Maybe
I don't
I'm
think
not.
you are.
My therapist last year helped me to realize I'm more normal than I think I am.
You are, and something just crossed my mind.
Ooh. Spill the tea.
I think what makes we mess up this process, because we're looking for this instant, what we've been fed is this instant Hollywood spark. You got to have these sparks.
Like butterflies first.
Yeah, butterflies
yes.
first. And what happens if you really come across a
yes.
decent fella every day somewhere, or, he's at work or whatever. Well, no, we don't want to go there and work relationships. But, you come across and you slowly get to know somebody like this. And
you say that because of my trade?
No,
Okay, continue.
no, I didn't say because of your trade. I wasn't dissing your trade.
No, not dissing. I'm saying because of my nature of work, it would be awkward to have a dual relationship.
Well, I mean, remember, I used to be in your trade
sorry,
too.
Continue that thought.
But no, I was just thinking, there are guys out there who are not giving off the flirty. They're just being who they are. Mm-hmm. They're living with integrity and being who they are. And we're missing it because we're thinking they're not interested in us, or we're expecting some sort of,
like a rescuer.
Well, not even that.
Maybe.
We're expecting some sort of knight in shining armor bit, where
some like big thing.
Yes,
big move
but where a simple conversation grows, deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper until you know somebody so well,
like a spiritual connection.
Yeah, it's not just it would be physical, spiritual, and mental.
No, but I mean, like starting off with deep conversation before, like, all right, let's get banged and move on. Which is spiritual too. But
the problem is well, or maybe your culture, because I never run into men. I run into men, but they're all married, so I just don't even look at them. And I'm very glad that they're married. But what I'm saying with you is they're could be perfectly decent people right in front of you, and just because they don't look like, or they talk to you and they don't act like they're, sparking, whatever ways that people supposed to spark.
Right. That's a hard thing.
We're putting,
okay.
You know what we're doing? We are doing something. We're doing an injustice because we are looking at them and expecting them to act one way when they are acting exactly like they should.
Right.
People with integrity. And we're expecting,
like
some massive movement. And,
right.
and we're putting something on them that's not even fair to them and their character.
But I will say,
yeah,
someone eventually has to make a move to take it out of the friend zone. Yeah. The crossing the friend zone is kind of exciting, though. I say that in a very non-creepy way.
It sounded a little creepy. No, I'm joking.
It's a very exciting place. It gets darker from here on out, folks. We need like a
no, it doesn't, because this girl's tired.
I agree, because I think, this is the hard thing, though, in my generation. When you're really great friends with someone and you're trying to figure out if there's something there, but no one ever...
Yeah, it makes
the woman doesn't want to chase the guy and vice versa.
Right.
But then you also have people like my line of godless, narcissistic pagans who I don't necessarily think are such first, who are upfront and honest about how they feel about you and even making the first move, which I love the bluntness of. Like, all right, cool. Like more than likely if we've had a good conversation and I'm continuing to talk to you, there's probably a spark there.
Right.
So ask away. Recent circumstance-ish. And, turned out, of course, to follow the dark saga of
Chads.
Chads
everywhere.
Bang, yeah. Chads. But
Bang,
then really
I go.
great godly men, in my personal experience, keep you in the friend zone unless you make a move. They wait for the girl. And I have heard this firsthand. And it makes it really hard. And that also factors into disappointment and so many things.
I don't know the remedy to this. I really don't.
I'm just bouncing off, sort of echoing your thought. Like, how do we?
How did the birds and bees work? I have no idea.
I feel like this could almost be a part 3: dating men and confusions, and
I guess
independent woman who actually secretly want to.
I guess maybe
date you.
I do. I guess
you.
men with character and integrity, and when I say that men with character, I'm not saying that the majority of men out there don't have character. Right. A lot of people do. But there are some people who, particularly with women, are, the way society, and then, I mean, it's all messed up. It's, like we've already talked about this on other podcasts. But at the same time, it's almost like this is another podcast where we talk about the demasculation of men.
Oh, yeah.
But,
and the controlling woman.
Yes. But I really do feel like there's a, people with integrity, like they're scared, or is it they're scared, or is it, have we become so fierce that we have neutered them? But that's another podcast. But it's almost like, why are they not stepping up?
Yeah.
Why
do they think they're out of
our,
our league or something? I don't know.
But then maybe they're, the only thing I could think of is they're afraid to take the risk, like we're afraid to take the risk.
I've thought that. I'm like, I'm either repulsive to them or they're afraid to take their risk, even though I most likely would probably not reject them unless they're an absolute douchebag.
Well, I'm glad that you have your boundaries.
Yes.
Yeah. But no, I don't know the answer to this. I do know I like the fact that there's no guarantees and it is a risk. But I do also love the idea of going in it in any relationship. I mean, even with friendships, how do we develop women friendships? It's all very slow. Like, I didn't know your mother, and now I know a gazillion things about her. But that's taken years, I'm just going to say you have to bear children at 70. I'm sorry.
Well, I think it's honesty as a huge part of it, and allowing yourself to slowly kind of gut your soul open.
Yeah.
Because I realize a lot of people hold in and try to put up their best self, even towards friendships. And I think it goes within conflict. People don't know how to resolve stuff, so they hold it as resentment, play the fake niceness, or even in just talking about their life. Like, I hate it when I'm talking to someone or trying to get to know someone, and I'm asking about them, or there's like a prayer circle, and it's like it's always other people. Not that that's bad, but they will never talk about themselves.
Yeah, right.
Like, I actually have had a conversation with someone who was offended that a romantic partner was asking things like about their heart. I'm like, are you kidding me? How do you have any sort of authenticity? And because you need that
that's actually very beautiful.
To not open yourself
up. To open for someone to ask you to have a loved one say, how is your heart today? How are you doing? What is it? What are your worries, your fears, that's delightful.
That not wanting that is like being a walking divorce paper, I feel. And I don't say that in like a demeaning kind of way, but
and there's so many people who are hungry for it. But the biggest thing, I think, and I don't know I don't think this is going to be a nice, neat bow, which is nice.
This podcast episode?
No, I
Oh
don't
yeah,
think it
this
will
will be
be.
divided. It goes into all sorts of crazy.
Yeah, but
Back
I
roads.
just
and highways.
I forgot my.
It's okay.
We're in the
It's
season
been
of
a
forgetting.
very long week.
Well, and the
sad.
disappointment thing has led to lack of sleep and
Yes, lack of
panic
sleep.
attacks
Yes.
and all sorts of
Ugly crying into a stiff drink in your dark room with your salt lamp on. Not me, ever. And spooning the cat as support. Please, Archibald, love me. And the cat's like giving me the finger the whole time.
Archibald.
Archibald is the best man I have ever met.
Yeah.
Though he does remind me of my relationships, the cat does. Because my roommate's dog comes to me whenever, is always there for me, opens comes through my open door waiting for me, and I diss him. The cat I constantly reach for, I get his crumbs.
Which tells
he scratches at the door, I open it, and he walks away.
No, which tells me that you're going for the infinite wrong person every single time. You're going for the Chad every single time.
And I don't realize it. Oftentimes. Chad's could be a good podcast episode.
Yes. I think maybe
Chatty.
I think the thing is to go into chatty chat.
Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. Is to you made me lose my thought.
It was
I just used the wrong thing. I said the wrong thing because nobody can make you do something like that. Like you can't make me forget my thought. I don't know. I think the deal is to recognize that you do have a pattern.
Yeah.
You do have a formula.
Yes.
But not to use the formula.
Yes. Oh my, that boom.
So,
oh my gosh. Tweet this, like this.
But I think a lot of that
good.
has to do with the formula. There is a person that you're drawn to that has these qualities.
And when you think about it,
okay,
not to just focus on the whole law of attraction. I get their different views, but if you if who you are is what you attract, and oftentimes, which I do, I take the law of attraction with a grain of salt, but I do think there's the law of attraction. It's the idea that
I thought you said the law of attract, and I'm like, what's this got to do with volcanoes? Everything. Okay,
so now we're going to talk about climate change.
No,
volcanoes.
I was talking volcanoes.
The aliens meme guy.
No, volcanoes as a metaphorical
the
thing.
Law of attraction.
Okay.
So if you have a pattern, I wonder if we subconsciously look for that in other people because it's all we're used to, and it feels comfortable and normal. Like chaos feels like a warm blanket.
And that is where the formula.
Dives. Pressing into the fear of good people.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That is good.
I mean, your ideas on the formula that struck a chord in my soul.
Thank you. And your
No, but I was telling someone recently too that I realized last year when hello, my name is Anna Grace Smith, and once upon a time, I serial dated to bandage wounds and to get over an ex, which I 10 out of 10 do not recommend. Yeah, do not. But what I told my friend this week is that what I realized is that all these things I hated in men, I realized I literally wrote to a guy. I wrote this long apology to someone who I was supposed to go out with that night. I was going to meet him at a bar, and it all just felt off. Like, I remember I spritzed some perfume. I was literally walking out the door to go meet him 30 minutes away. And it was like the Holy Spirit stopped me. I was like, sit down. You're not going. I mean, I think it was my free will and listening to the Holy Spirit. I'm not like, don't want to make it sound woo-woo and weird, but I wrote this whole monologue text to him, and that was my whole turning point. But something I said in that was I realized I'm literally the red flag. It was like something straight out of a movie because I was like, crap. I'm the red flag in all of this. Like the very things that I hated, couldn't stand, feeling used, feeling emotionally depleted, the things and the patterns and the chaos I hated. Like I was literally that.
We're the common denominator.
Yes. And not to say that everything bad that happens to us means, there's something bad in you. But I do think, like you said, like we have our own pattern. I think it's easy to put that on other people. And a lot of the time it's even maybe, I don't know, sometimes thoughts we have of ourselves or just experiences we've had. And we not only can sometimes subconsciously become that. This makes me
Right.
sound like I'm going so yoga. I'm not trying to. But we almost
the
gravitate. So I think we almost gravitate towards it.
Yes. Yes.
And
yes,
this
yes.
cycle of disappointment continues,
Yes.
you know?
But I did hear something today. My friend Diane sent me her son, pastors a church in California called the Pearl Chapel.
Yeah.
And his last sermon was just so amazing. But he was just talking about how he was talking about the transfiguration and all that, and how when Peter looked at all the other people there, or even when he was walking on water, everybody knows that story about Peter walking on the water. When he took his eyes off the Lord, he sank. But the thing is when we give our problems, when we give our disappointments, when we give our fears to the Lord and we put him on the throne and we dethrone all those things.
Ooh,
And he
take it
says
home.
I tell you, go onto Instagram and listen to the Pearl Chapel because it's so good. He explains it so much better. But the way he said it was so powerful again. When we are so fixed on the problem, and this is not anything new, but it's just the way he said it. But when we're so fixed on the problem or the formula or whatever we're fixed in, that he can't work and all that, you know. And so I'm thinking how, you know, every time you enter your coffee shops or wherever you go, how is the new thing, you know, what could be the new thing that you check, or what can I check when I'm feeling that disappointment about my brother-in-law or my sister? You know, what are the things that I can do? And just having that mindset, I even did it today. There was a couple of people I was thinking about that I'm very close to, and I just said, they're yours. I'm putting them on your platter. You're not your platter, but on your in your realm.
Yeah.
And they're yours, and you're the solving problemer, the problem solver.
No, I think that's so.
And again, listen to his. But I think there's something in that is when we recognize every single person we meet is somebody we want to meet and long to get to know. But there are some times that we shouldn't, as according to your mom.
Yes.
And we need to be intuitive about those times, or not even intuitive, prayerful, whatever it is, discernment. Your mom's got that in spades. What do you think?
Spiritually intuitive. Oh, 100%.
And I'm mumbling now. I'm so tired.
No,
like
it makes
asleep.
perfect sense to me because I think it's easy also to have too much hope in all the wrong things, if that makes sense. And having like holy discernment is so important. But I had another thought too, and I just left my
We are so tired. We're like
I had a thought that I'd do with disappointment or something. Oh, the whole idea of just giving things over to Heavenly Father. Because I remember, oh God, all my situations are just me using examples from my dating life. But I remember you said this to me that was so good. A few years back,
did?
there was someone who ghosted me and left. And I kept wanting to like almost chase them and just know why. And I remember you said, Anna Gray, let the Lord deal with them.
Oh, yes.
As in, keep your hands off.
I did say that.
Yes, you did.
Whoa.
Quotable.
Whoa.
No, seriously. But there was so much peace I found in that. And I still quote that to people. I'll say my friend once told me, literally let the Lord deal with them.
Well, isn't it funny when you say things? I always...
Or insert anything, not just a man, but you know.
Yeah. But I know I'm glad we speak things like that out loud because then people remember them and speak them back, and you need to hear that.
Yeah, absorb it like a sponge.
Yeah, I will. I'm just taking it in.
And it's so much easier said than done. But literally, I mean, don't just insert relationships. Literally any situation, anything, you know. Like,
it is the Lord's.
Right.
The battle is the Lord's.
Yeah, exactly. Let him fight for you. Even when others don't like.
He's
got your back.
White horse.
Yep.
Yeah.
And between the invisible veil between heaven and earth, he has her back, you know.
Well, I like that. I like that. I think I'll be able to sleep better. Thank you for the emergency moral tea.
Well, and the whole
Yeah.
idea of, I won't keep spilling tea, but the whole idea of like Emmanuel, God with us, like
Yeah.
that's really the weight of that.
Yeah.
Even when there are situations that disappoint or we feel like all hope is lost or someone walks away, like he is Emmanuel, he is God with us, you know?
With us. I think that's very good. Thanks for joining us.
Please like and subscribe.
Say it one more time.
Please like and subscribe.
And even drop a little note.
See my index finger frantically pointing to the like symbol. And
look at my little pink toes.
Look at my blistered, mangled toes. Actually, don't. Please don't.